Even though the man is not here this week, we will play the song in his honor as we do this.
I'm not dancing at a protest that EJ is not here.
I was going to say, can you give us like a sad dance?
All right, as we do each and every week, we will look at the power rankings and kind of discuss those. Probably won't go as in depth this week because the man's not here to defend his horrible takes.
Yeah, I was about to say there won't be bad logic, so there'll be a good conversation. Just like
before you put them up, Giants are too high.
All right, let's
on this panel to get excited about that.
That's right. That is right. All right, let's. I'll pull them up here. I do have Mike's in mind on the next graphic then as well. But looking at EJ's bottom five for the weeks, he has Titans 32, Giants 31, Panthers at 30, Saints at 29, and Jets at 28. Kind of for me the story, and we'll see mine in a minute. Well, then I'll go to his top 10. But there's so many bad teams that like there's cases to be made if you want to pull Saints and Jets out. I don't know why you pull the Jets out, but if you want to pull the Saints out because they beat the Falcons, cool. You want to put somebody else in there, you'll see mine in a minute. But there's more than 5 teams competing for the worst 5 teams.
Didn't he have the Jags on last week though? Like, how did they move up?
Week, I don't think they did.
Okay.
That's the thing. He struggles to put the Jags on there, and the reason you don't put the Jags on there is what they did to allegedly one of the best teams in the NFC. I shouldn't say allegedly. One of the best teams in the NFC. And if Mac Jones could actually put together a second touchdown drive, they win the fucking game. So
Ernest's bottom 5 from last week was Raiders, Titans, Patriots, Panthers, Saints.
Okay.
That's my question. How did the Raiders crawl out? Now, if you're punishing the Jets, I'm down. But
that's fair.
You know.
I also don't understand why the Browns aren't in his bottom 5.
Because they're a playoff team.
They're a playoff team. Never mind. No, I answered my own question.
You figured it out, buddy.
Is it just because they looked better the last time we saw them with Jameis? Like, I guess that would maybe be his argument. But let's look at top 10. Then we'll also see Mike's and mine as well.
Did he have the Vikings in his top 10 last week?
No,
he did not. All right, so it's top 10 Cardinals, 9 Texans, 8 Packers, 8 Packers, 7 Commanders, 6 Steelers, 5 Eagles, 4 Bills, 3 Ravens, 2 Chiefs, 1 Lions. I'll give him credit for 2 weeks in a row. He's not had the Chiefs at number 1.
I'm not mad at his top 4. I like it.
His top 5 went unchanged from last week.
Okay.
I would flop the Bills and Ravens at this juncture, and I would reward the Steelers. For me, Eagles and Steelers, like that 5, 6, 7 grouping.
He did have the Steelers at 9 last week. So
okay,
he did move them up 3. Eagles didn't move at all.
Remind me who the Eagles win was this week.
Cowboys.
Yeah, that's why the Steelers should be up 1 more.
Yeah.
So with no disrespect, of course.
Disrespect them all you want.
The Steelers lost to the Cowboys.
They did.
How many weeks ago was that?
It was
a lot.
3.
1,000.
By the way, I really think the Steelers are a big reason why the Cowboys have continued to lose sense. By the way, let's talk that out there too.
That and just everything else.
You got to blame the Texas Sun.
Well, we did it that way, Matt. We built it that way. We know which way the sun's coming in. We know it. Fuck you, Jerry. Sorry.
What the fuck are we doing here with
the Cardinals
and the Cardinals ahead of the Vikings? And I know they're ahead of the Vikings because this dumb motherfucker hasn't even put the Vikings in the top 10. And I would call him a dumb motherfucker to his face right now.
Yeah. I don't
He
know.
would look up and be like, they only scored 12 points against Jacksonville, and I got to penalize them because they didn't look good on offense.
And that's and you know what? I think he'd say the same thing, Mike. You know what I'm going to come back with? The Texans lost to a team where the quarterback threw 5 fucking interceptions. What are we doing here?
Right. I mean, the Texans have lost 3 out of their last 4. They've lost. I mean, now the Packers are in his top 10. They barely beat the Colts. They lost to the Jets. They lost to the Jets.
Goddamn Jets.
To the Jets. And then they lost to a team who threw 5 picks. You were at home and had every opportunity to run away with a game against one of the top teams in the NFL, and you didn't.
Jim, can you please give me the? Thank you.
It's already ahead of you on that one. Yeah, I don't like the Texans in here. I really don't like the Cardinals in
I
here.
really wish he was on the show, because even after having recorded the Student of the Game report on the Earnestly Speaking podcast, I still don't understand the hard-on he has for the Cardinals. I just don't.
I don't get it. I don't.
So
Go ahead.
if he's gonna penalize the Jets and put him in the bottom 5,
Goddamn Jets.
Thank you.
how is that your selling point to put the Cardinals in the top 10?
That's a great point.
Like if he doesn't have the Jets in the bottom 5, you can look up and go, the defense held Aaron Rodgers to 6 points. They put up a ton of points. The offense looks like it's finally firing on all cylinders. But you lose all of your credibility when you put the team that they boat raced at 28.
Oh, homie, you aren't done. Even with a better record that the Cardinals have than the 49ers right now, he still has the 49ers as the favorite in the division. And yet, the Vikings aren't in the top 10.
You dumbass.
I would actually prefer a Brad Pitt from Moneyball, please, Jim.
There we go.
What the fuck are you talking about, man?
Can we also get a Morgan Freeman from?
You smoke crack, don't you?
I mean, we might as well round it out. Thank you, sir.
Smoke crack.
There we go. Can we just make that all one sound bite moving forward?
Sure, why not?
He not only rambled, but he rumbled and stumbled.
And here's the thing: I'm looking at the Cardinals' schedule. Sure, they've rattled off some wins. They've beaten a Chargers team, which is currently a playoff team. They beat them 17-15. Since then, they've beaten the Dolphins by 1, the Bears by 20, and the Jets. I mean, they beat the Jets by a hell of a lot. But the Jets are, again, according to him, one of the 5 worst teams in football.
Well, but in September, Jim, he did have the Jets making the playoffs. There's that.
And I look back over the rest of their schedule. They beat a 49ers team who was very beat up, a Rams team who was beat up, and then their losses are Bills, Lions, Commanders, Packers, which good losses, sure, but you've lost to all the good teams that you've played. You've lost all the good teams that you've played against. I don't see how that makes a top 10 team. Are the Cardinals a surprising team this year? Sure, I'll give you that. I didn't think the Cardinals would be leading the West. I didn't expect the Niners to be the walking wounded for the first 2 months of the year, but I didn't expect the Cardinals to be leading.
The past 3 weeks, Jim, all the Cardinals wins have been fraudulent in some fashion, right? So,
yeah, Dolphins, Bears, Jets, all
Dolphins. The first week, Tua came back after a long stint, and they beat them by a point. Let's be clear,
right? And the Bears are just crumbling. They fired their OC this week. The Jets, I mean, let's fire Robert Saleh again, because maybe that'll help you next week.
I could see Aaron Rodgers asking them to hire Robert Saleh.
Yeah, exactly.
Hire him. That's the thing he would do. Yes.
So did that Hail Mary break the Bears? They're done now. Season's over.
Sure looks like it. And again, I sent there's a video the NFL media put out today showing Harbaugh's love of Justin Herbert, and I sent it to the group, and I said, imagine being the Chicago Bears, a place that Jim Harbaugh also played in his NFL career, knowing you were going to take Caleb Williams at number 1 and going, you know what, let's not bring this guy in to coach this team. Let's stick with Matt Eberflus. It seems like a good plan.
I mean, would he have wanted that
to coach Chicago
over LA?
The reason why I would say yes is because Chicago culture would embrace Harbaugh coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think both places. He played both places. He loves coaching in California. He obviously did it with Stanford as well. Obviously likes coaching in the Midwest as he did it. It
sure as hell wasn't state tax issues. I know that shit.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just still just baffling to me. Looking over Mike's and mine. Any thoughts on those? as well. For the I guess we'll run them real quick for the podcast listeners. I have my bottom 5: Jags, Cowboys, Jets, Giants, Titans. Mike has Cowboys, Browns, Panthers, Titans, and Giants. Our top 10s: mine, Lions, Chiefs, Ravens, Bills, Eagles, Packers, Steelers, Commanders, Vikings, Chargers. Mike has Lions, Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Eagles, Vikings, Packers, Steelers, Chargers, and Commanders.
Mike, you're clear. I'll ask you, Jim, since you're here in the panel. Explain to me Ravens over Bills. I'm nitpicking, but I'm only curious. I'm just, for those out there who are listening.
If they were to play this week,
Okay.
I would pick the Ravens.
But it's that close, is what I hear you tell.
It is extremely close.
Fair.
To me, there's the 4 best teams in football, and then there's like that next pocket, and then the next one. So yeah, it really came down to if they played this week, even despite like a struggle a couple weeks ago, I would take the Ravens over the Bills this week, just because right now, because of how bad the AFC East has been.
Mhm.
I'm not 100% sold on 8-2 for the Buffalo Bills. Now, you win this week. Spoiler alert, you're probably going to move up.
By the way, I appreciate all of you keeping the Cardinals out of the fucking top 10. Easily the biggest crime he's committed
I would have.
this season.
There were not even a thought for number 10.
I'm noticing also how neither of you have the Texans at this point. I find that highly fascinating, which means he's completely obliterating the Chargers and Vikings both in what is clearly his worst bracket of the year. This is why this motherfucker wasn't on. He's hiding. Bern, if I might inquire of you, not you, but if I can get the EJ Christian screen.
Oh, hold on.
What the fuck are we doing? Okay, put it back.
There we go.
I mean, look. When I look at mine, I
Go ahead. I just remembered something else I wanted to ask EJ. Finish your point.
okay. The bottom 5, like Jim said, I think I had a harder time trying to figure out who was like 28, 29. Because last week I did have the Raiders in mine as well, and I think I took them out because of bye week, and I think it was because other teams just played so
Cowboys
bad.
would have lost a bye week, so that's
Why they're in his bottom 5 now, Jim.
So I just kind of went back and forth on the bottom 5. Like I wrote it out while I was at work, and I looked and I was like, how do I have 6 teams that could all be 28?
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
kind of funny, isn't it?
I mean,
I appreciate you punishing Mac Jones, by the way, by putting the Jags 28. I'm not going to question you on that. Mike, may I have EJ back, please? Thank you, EJ. You know what I find interesting there, EJ Christian? Eagles Jaworski. The Packers are 6 on Jim's top 10. The Packers are 7 on Mike's list. You're 10 green toes down. If you had some amputations, as the Packers are only 8 on yours.
I gotta give credit to the Steelers. Russell Carrington Wilson, so great.
Here's the thing, though. The Steelers aren't in your top 10. Oh, no, they're 6. I apologize. Carry on.
yeah. Part of me looking at mine again,
Great hits are, by the way, EJ Byrne.
I maybe would have flipped Green Bay and Pittsburgh, rewarding Pittsburgh a bit. Although I had Pittsburgh at 10.
I find it interesting that both of you
They
two
did
have
go
them
up,
back to back with each other. I think that's a fine take by you. I do think you're both a little low on the Red Tails. Sorry, Commanders, but not enough to really kick a stink about it. I mean, at least you have the Cardinals in your top 10.
So for me in that one, my 5, 6, 7, so I had Commanders 5, Vikings 6, Packers 7, Eagles 8, and I had the Steelers at 10 last week. So I had to bring the Steelers up because of the win. I had to bring the Commanders down. I didn't necessarily want to like punish the Packers because they were off. So I think it was more just rewarding the Steelers that kind of knocked Commanders down, Vikings down. Again, maybe I would flip the Steelers Packers, but I had to get the Steelers above Washington, and I didn't want to punish Green Bay for not playing.
So here's what we've established, gentlemen, is that EJ's 7 through 10 are just pitiful,
Yeah.
just ass nasty.
Yeah,
Makes no sense.
because I probably, in hindsight, I probably would have flipped the Chargers and the Commodores.
Oh, I don't agree with you. I think you have it right.
I mean, I had Washington last week at the 6th spot. So, so I penalized them 4 spots for the loss.
That's a bit much. I'll agree with that.
And maybe that's where it is. But I also didn't have the Steelers ranked at all last week. So I had to vault them up, not from 11 to 2 like somebody else on this show has done once or twice or 35 times. But I did have to give the devil his due and get them higher, especially higher than Washington.
Wow. Now Russell Carrington Wilson's the devil. Really?
No. The devil is Mike Tomlin for looking at the camera and blowing it a kiss after the game went final.
Bro, that shit was lost. I don't give a fuck.
Stone cold.
That's a good call by you, Burn. I can't. I retract my joke. Carry on.
No, so I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe I have the Vikings a little too high. Maybe I'm still high on the Sam Darnold Kool-Aid, or maybe I'm not in love with Jordan.
Okay.
They have to be playing again here.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. The too high on the Vikings, I think, is the answer here. Not by a lot. Maybe 1 or 2 places.
Sure.
And the Vikings are
maybe
also going to go on a rip here and probably win their next 6 before they play the Packers.
I say Packers Vikings is December
They
29th.
have the Titans, the Bears, the Cards, the Falcons, the Bears again, and the Seahawks. Before
easy.
You're giving them opportunity to drop if they blow one of those. I do respect that.
They're playing the number 10 Arizona Cardinals.
That was easy.
That's true. They have a
Calm
top 10
down.
team. Top
Playing
10
a
team
top
in
10.
their horizon.
I mean, and they didn't score a touchdown this week against the Jags. Like, credit to the Jags for playing a tough game, but what sounds like an easy road for Minnesota may not be as easy as we think it is. Or they could have had a bad week. Again, teams have bad weeks. Don't want to take that away from them. But yeah, I had to punish them.
I mean,
a little bit there as well.
Or also, and I'll we penalized the Jaguars with Mac Jones. Like, kudos to the defense for not breaking. Like they bent, they gave up the field goals and gave them their team a chance to win football game. Like, that's kind of the reason why I didn't have Jacksonville in my bottom 5. It's like I kind of want to penalize them because Mac Jones played fairly questionable, but like the defense played so good to keep a team that I had as high ranked as I did Minnesota to only field goals and to keep the offense, give Mac Jones a shot to win a football game.
They were still better than the Cowboys. I hear you.
Oh, yeah, there's not a lot of teams that are worse than them.
There he goes. Hi, Jim. How you doing?
There really isn't. Hey, man. One of the guys at work is a Jets fan. Every week, I'll message him. Sorry about your Jets. And he'll go, like, I'm just numb to it. And then he'll say, sorry about your Cowboys. And I'll just literally copy and paste his message. I'm just
Efficient, Jim.
My wife said to me when it hit the Eagles Cowboys hit 28-6 or 38-6 or whatever the hell it ended up being, and she goes, I'm really impressed that you're not mad. And I go, what's there to get mad about? Really,
Jim just
really,
looks back with hollow sunken eyes.
like I mean,
I'm more thinking Joaquin Phoenix from Joker, but cool.
right? Like I just I'm like, why would I get mad? Like, there's nothing to get mad at. Like, I think that's the saddest part. Because there's really nothing to get mad
I'm
at.
thinking it's just more
He's
coffee from the Green Mile. He's just I'm tired.
I'm
tired, boss.
Tired, boss.
At the end of the day, John Coffey had only like Mr. Bojangles to look forward to. You have your Irish in playoff contention. So
I said the wildest part is, like, I felt more upset when the Orioles lost in the playoffs this year than I am about the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys have fallen into you can't even make me care spot anymore. Like, that's how bad it's gotten. That's how bad it's gotten. But
by the way, worst healthcare establishment ever. I don't even care spot. That's great.
Yeah, that's just exactly where it is.